was just basking in the drumming. Chad looks at me, that's you, it's your cue. Thank you for that. Thank you, Chad, for that. And thank you to those of you who reached out with emails and text messages. I had mentioned sacred wallowing a couple of times in the last several weeks, and I got great messages from you guys. And somebody said, isn't this just psychology? And the answer is, at first glance, yes. But in reality, we are here in this physical form as God experiencing. You are all that is experiencing itself. It is a sacred honor to have our individual consciousness alive for experiencing. And when we take that as a sacred honor, it is an honor to be alive, and sometimes it's painful, and sometimes it sucks. But if we can remember that it's a sacred honor to be alive, and we are spiritual at our core, sacred at our core, experiencing the human life. When we can remember that, at least for me, I find it easier to get through those times that are more challenging, to get through those times that don't feel good. And sacred wallowing is a spiritual practice to help us with that. Because we don't experience the sacredness, God, Spirit, we don't experience that through avoidance. We experience God, we experience Spirit by being present, by feeling, by experiencing. And so often from the time we're this big, we are taught, don't be so loud. Don't be so angry. Don't act like that. Or some of us are taught, if you have a big emotion, anger is the only one that's okay. I remember as a little kid, I was so sad because my cookie broke. Now, when you're a little kid, this is devastating. This was the first time ever in my life my cookie had broke. It was a big deal. And I remember my siblings and my cousins were telling me how stupid I was, what a baby I was. And I was the youngest at the time, so being called a baby was not good at all. And I remember my grandmother coming, and I'm feeling bad because my cookie broke, and I'm feeling bad because my siblings and my cousins are calling me mean names and being mean to me. And I remember my grandmother came and sat down next to me, and she wallowed with me about my broken cookie. And she said, I wonder if it still tastes the same. And she tricked me into eating that cookie and being happy about it. And I think that was my first experience with sacred wallowing. Years later, I had a job, and I was at a point in my life where I equated my own value with my productivity. So what I did at work and how well I did my work could make or break how I felt about myself. And I worked at this place where we had this big event every year, once a year, and for any big event, this one and all the other events we did, I created the slideshow, PowerPoint, and I did it very well. So we're in our planning meeting, and someone else says, they pull up a flash drive, and they said, I created a slideshow. And she went over to the person leading the meeting, and she plugged it into the port, and I'm sitting there, wait, what? Who the heck do you think you are? I create the slideshow. And people in the meeting looked at me like, oh boy. Nobody said anything. And I didn't say anything. I just seethed inside. And her PowerPoint wasn't even good. It wasn't even good. But everybody went along with it and said, okay, that's a great first draft with a couple tweaks, blah, blah, blah. I go home that evening, and I'm livid. I'm driving home. I'm livid. I had lunch that day. I was livid. I just was livid the whole day. I'm going home. I'm driving. I'm getting more and more mad. Who does she think she is? She knows. And those other people, nobody stood up for me. I get home, and I was doing what I thought was what I was supposed to do, which was take deep breaths, calm the heck down, and let it go. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I was trying to be a good person. I was trying to be a spiritual person, and I was trying to do the right thing. But I just couldn't. My whole insides were in knots and churning, and I just kept clenching my thighs, my knees. Did you know you can clench your knees? My whole body was clenching. And finally, I decided I have to go with this, otherwise I'm going to punch. Otherwise, I'm going to break something, because I just had so much anger in me. And so I started talking out loud. Who does this woman think she is? Her slideshow wasn't even good. She doesn't even have a consistent theme throughout the whole slideshow. What is she doing? And those fonts, oh my gosh. If you're sitting at the back of the room, you're not going to be able to read that. And how are you going to put so much information on one slide? And what are you going to do, stand there and read it while everybody else just reads along? That's going to be the most boring slideshow ever. And gosh darn it, and I just went on, and I was stomping, and I was ranting, and then I got to the point where nobody said anything. Nobody stood up for me. Nobody said a darn thing. They all looked at me. They all knew I'm supposed to do it, and they all know my slideshows are better, and I didn't even say anything. I didn't say anything. And something shifted, and I realized that what I was really actually angry about was, yet again, somebody did something that I didn't like, and I just sat there. So then I felt embarrassed, and a little shame, and disappointment in my own self. So then I said, well, I'm sitting here feeling, I may as well feel that too. And I started just wallowing in feeling disappointed and mad at myself. And oh, that's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Everybody looked at me, waiting for me to say something that, hey, I usually do the slideshow. I'd like to continue doing it. That's my role in this event. That's the one thing I do in this event, is that kind of stuff. They all looked at me, waiting for me to say something. And the message I sent was, whatever, I don't need to do it. so embarrassed. And as I was wallowing in those feelings, all of a sudden, the feelings just dissipated, and I couldn't even muster them up anymore. I couldn't even muster up the feeling of embarrassment or shame or disappointment or anger. I just was sitting there. And I had a sense of contentment, a sense of peace. And once I noticed my contentment and I noticed my peace, I had this flash of awareness. This is what processing and releasing emotions are. I've heard people talk about this. So that was my first adult experience with sacred wallowing. And as time went on, and as I practiced this, I added the element of the sacredness of the experience. I am God experiencing. Why would I rob God of the feeling and experience of embarrassment, of shame, of disappointment, of anger, of sorrow, of grief? And I'll tell you, the amazing byproduct of doing this practice is you don't add to the backlog of trauma drama that pops up when you're triggered. Has anybody been in an experience in the here and now, and you get a whoosh of emotion and you realize, oh, this person is yelling at me the same way my dad did? Or, oh, this person reminds me of my old boss that made me feel so belittled. If that whoosh of emotion happens and you're remembering those old things, that's an invitation. That's the highest part of yourself saying, oh, you have some unprocessed stuff. Here's an opportunity. Process, release. Our wholeness doesn't happen by avoidance. Our wholeness happens when we're fully present, when we're fully experiencing, and we're fully feeling. And so then you might say, well, how do you do that? So in the moment, I do not suggest practicing, doing this spiritual practice at work. Or even at the family Thanksgiving dinner where your uncle shows up as himself. What I do is I get a whoosh of some emotion and I say, oh, that's a clue. And I put it on a shelf and I say, I will tend to you later. But then you actually have to do it. And then in the safety of your own space, pull that experience off the shelf. And try to recreate the feeling, that whoosh of emotion. Replay the scenario in your mind. Feel the feelings. And here is where the magic happens. Make them big. If you were scared, talk about how scary it was to yourself. But you can say the words out loud. oh my gosh, that was so scary. It's so terrifying. You know what could have happened? You know, what I have seen happen in the past? Oh my gosh, this could have happened. And that would have been terrible. Or, I can't believe she said that. Oh my gosh. What was she thinking? Did she not see me there? I think that's how she talks when she doesn't know I'm there. Oh my gosh. Make it as big as you can make it. Identify where the feeling is in your body. Feel the feeling. And the amazing thing is, embarrassment, shame, feeling belittled, feeling less than, all of these feelings aren't as terrible as we've made them out to be. Feeling actually becomes a sacred practice. I don't like the flavor of shame. That's not an enjoyable practice for me. But embarrassment, which is kind of on the same end of town as shame, embarrassment has a sweetness to it for me. And I think it's because I've learned how to take embarrassment and not turn it into shame. Because when I allow myself to feel embarrassed, I'm embarrassed because I care what you think of me. I care that we have a connection, and I don't want that connection to dissipate or go away. And so usually embarrassment to me ends up having a sweetness to it, a gentleness to it. Because what fuels my embarrassment is really my desire to maintain connection. And sadness. Oh, sadness has such a sacredness to it. When I allow myself to feel sad that this relationship isn't what it used to be, the person isn't in my life anymore, and I'm sad about that, and I miss them. Oh, there's something sacred about feeling the sadness of not having that person in your life anymore. It's so sacred. And thinking about the connections we had and the feelings of joy I experienced with that person. I can't have that anymore, and that's sad. And when I allow myself to fully enmesh myself in that experience, I can recognize the sacredness of God experiencing. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is the next time you have an unwanted feeling, an unwanted experience, is to just note it, and then when you have the opportunity in the privacy and safety of your own space, wallow in it. Feel that uncomfortable, unwanted feeling. Feel it. Amplify it. Make it as big as you can possibly make it. At some point, it'll start to dissipate. Usually what I end up doing when I'm really into something, at some point I'm like, and I'm so mad. And then I start laughing because now I'm just doing. And I'm not actually mad anymore. At some point, the feeling will dissipate. Doesn't mean it's not going to come back at another time, especially if it's grief or loss or that kind of thing. But in that moment, it'll dissipate. And we can hold the sacredness of the experience. And if it's really unwanted, as if God is a being outside of myself, I say, "You're welcome. You're welcome for that experience. You're welcome for the deep, rich experience of feeling." I want to read a poem by This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. I was young when I first, well, I'll say I was emotionally young. I wasn't that young. I was young when I first read that. And I didn't really understand it. But it's about the sacredness of the human experience and how our emotions are really our navigation system. Imagine if you were on a ship and you had a complicated technical navigation system full of gears and parts. And you decided it was okay to rip out half of the gears. How would the rest of your navigation operate? Poorly at best. And that's how our emotions are as well. If we refuse to experience the uncomfortable ones, joy doesn't work very well. Happiness doesn't work very well. Contentment doesn't work very well. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. Usually I yap for a little while and then we experience a little meditation. But I've invited Chad to do a song that he wrote. It's an original composition, and I have it playing on repeat in my office. I have it looping. And what I'd like you to do while we're listening to that is use this as the beginning of our meditation. The music will likely invoke some feeling, and just allow whatever is invoked to exist. And if you have thoughts, note them. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Let me allow it to be. Because the most important part of the spiritual practice of sacred wallowing is to allow your own experience to be what your own experience needs to be. So imagine this is the beginning of our, don't imagine, it is the beginning of our meditation, and just allow your experience. Well, I can't talk now. Let's just close our eyes for a moment. And notice your body. What are you feeling? Where do you feel it? Allow it to be. And this morning we won't amplify it, but just allow it to be. You might whisper, whatever it is you're feeling, you're allowed to be here. Spirit, be with me. Give yourself permission to divinely experience acknowledge and embrace the sacred honor of living this human life. And before we release this exercise, if something came up for you that you believe needs more attention, make a commitment to yourself right now. Make a commitment to be with your own experience. Make a commitment to shove nothing under the rug or in the suitcase or in the basement or in the attic. If you think you need help, make a commitment to reach out and ask for help. And as we let this exercise go, take a deep breath. Whenever we do this kind of exercise, I like to take 3 deep breaths. One more. And we can take a clue from nature. When an animal has an emotional experience, whether it's joy, fear, or aggression, when that animal is done, they shake it off. And I invite you to shake it off. Part of processing is allowing yourself some process to get back to a centered, outward-facing state of mind, state of being. And when we go to an inward-focused state of being, we need something to click us into place. And for me, I take 3 deep breaths and I shake it off. So we shake off this experience. Namaste.